Hey guys, this is the Never Ending Reader and I'm Brittany and this is my February wrap up. Okay, so this month I read 8 books. All of them were written by women. 7 of them were YA, 1 was middle grade, and pretty even star ratings across the board. I had 2 2-stars, 2 3-stars, 2 4-stars, and 2 5-stars. So instead of going from like lowest to highest, I'm just going to give you guys a review, a quick spoiler-free, whatever, my thoughts, in the order that I read them. So the first thing that I read was Ruined by Amy Tintera. I think you guys can't really see that. I just pulled up like a picture on my Kindle because I actually read it through Kindle Unlimited on my phone. So this guy was kind of a dystopian novel. It was about a girl who, her kingdom has like fallen and her sister's been kidnapped by these like, I don't know, terrible people over in a different kingdom, and so she goes on a mission to like find her sister, but in order to find her sister, she has to like infiltrate this other kingdom, and pretend to be like a princess from like a different place and like marry the prince, and I don't know. It was like The Selection in a way, to where, well, that's not true. It was just like, I'm comparing it to The Selection in the way that The Selection was bad, but like where The Selection series had some redeeming stuff, this like didn't. So I ended up giving it 2 stars. It was written super bad, just garbage writing. I can't believe that this was popular. I remember when this was so popular on BookTube, and yeah, the writing was terrible, the plotline sucked, just everything about it was pretty awful. The magic system didn't make much sense. The only redeeming thing that I thought about it was there was a romance that was like kind of fine. So yeah, Ruined by Amy Tintera, 2 stars, don't recommend. So the next thing that I read, I actually read on Scribd, but I pulled up a picture on my Kindle here, and it is Starry Eyes by Jenn Bennett. I actually own this on Kindle, and I read it on Scribd anyway. I gave Starry Eyes 5 stars. I actually really liked it, and the thing that like you should know about me is that I hate contemporary. They just don't do much for me. I don't like them. I'm more of a fantasy reader, but Starry Eyes was really good. Sorry, my brother just texted me and I got distracted, but Starry Eyes is about a girl named Zori, I believe her name was, and then a boy named Lennon, and their families like literally hate each other. They used to be best friends, but then like something happened, and Zori and Lennon are not friends anymore. Their families are like at each other's throats. Zori's family like owns a business, and it's like right next to Lennon's family's business, and Lennon's family like is like a sex shop. That's their business, and so like Zori's family's like, well, their sex shop is like ruining our lives and our business and our livelihood. And anyway, so they like straight up don't like each other, and one day somebody invites Zori to go camping, which it was more of like a glamping type thing, but it ended up not being that way. And when she goes on this trip, coincidentally Lennon is there, and she's all like, oh, I hate you, but then like we all know what happens from there. So yeah, it was mostly about them like walking around, camping, like just regular camping stuff, but I don't know, it was really good writing. I was like interested the whole way through, like nothing crazy happened, but it was just good. I liked it, and so like me giving a contemporary 5 stars literally almost never happens, and I'm super glad that I read this because it was an absolute delight, and I cannot wait to read more from that author. So the next thing that I read was kind of a disappointment, and that was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I'm not going to get into what this is. basically, if you don't know what this is, it's a like a fairy type of story. So me giving this 3 stars is just, it's middle of the road for me. It's good. I liked it. It was fine. Don't care about it any further. I think my whole problem with this was that everybody hyped it up for so long, and then, as it always happens, it didn't live up to the hype. And I think one of my biggest issues with this was that I knew every like plot twist because everybody talks like on Twitter as if we have all read it. And so I had read like little spoilerly things that I didn't know at the time were spoilers. So it would be like a tweet about like a character in this book reacting to like a certain made up situation, like fanfic, except, you know, in a tweet. But it literally ruined everything for me. I don't care about this book. It wasn't that good. The writing style didn't blow me away. Are you guys okay? Like, why do you like this? I'm just confused. And the next thing that I read was Tricks by Ellen Hopkins. This is an old library copy that I found somewhere. I think my husband actually found it for me. But this was about 5 teenagers who all, like, their stories all begin as them, like, being young, and, like, each of them has, like, a different set of issues. And so eventually, like, midway through the story, because it's called Tricks, they all end up in like the sex industry, and it's just like a story about like how did they get there and what were the circumstances and how could they handle it, and how did they end up after they either left the sex industry or didn't. So if you've read an Ellen Hopkins, you've read them all. They're all the same, kind of. They all feel the same. They're written in verse, as I'm sure you guys know. I don't know if you can see that. So they're pretty quick to get through. I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. I'm going to unhaul it though because it is super chunky and I just don't want it on my shelves anymore. So the next thing that I read was also a 2-star, which sucks, but I kind of saw it coming, and that is By the Time You Read This, I'll Be Dead by Julianne Peters. This is about a girl named Daylin, and she is like severely depressed, and she logs onto this website for completers, which are people who complete their suicide. And so she's like signed up for the website, and now she's got this like countdown clock of like it'll be 20 days till I commit suicide, you know, 15, 10, 5. So yeah, it dealt with like a serious topic. Obviously, I'm someone who is no stranger to this topic, personally, but my issues with this were it had 2 really bad things that I hate seeing in books, and the first one was that, this girl in this book, our main character, has been treated better because she is no longer overweight. So like before this point that we get to in this book in the beginning, she had been overweight and depressed about it her whole life and bullied, and like, which are all valid, but then she loses weight for certain reasons, and because of that, like, people start talking to her, like a boy shows interest in her, and like that's just not my thing. I actually hate that, and yeah, so yikes. And then the second thing that I didn't like about this was that like I think the ending was left like really open-ended, so like I obviously can't confirm like whether the love interest like saved her, because I'm not sure, but it kind of seemed like it was like heading in that direction to where like a boy saves a girl from depression, and that's just like not reality. So yeah, 2 stars. It would have been 1 star, but I gave it 2 just for the effort of talking about something that needs to be talked about. The next thing that I read was Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. I really liked this. It wasn't as much as I was expecting. Like, I was kind of expecting, like, a little bit more. I don't know, you just see, like, female pirate, and you think, like, this is gonna be really great, because, like, one, there's, like, a startling lack of pirates in everybody's, novels, and two, lady pirates. But, like, it could have been better. I have pretty high hopes for the next one, so that is what I'm looking forward to. I gave this 4 stars. This is about a girl named Alosa, and she is a lady pirate, and her dad is the pirate king, and he sends her on this mission to steal this map from, like, a rival ship. So she gets herself captured on purpose, and she gets on the ship, and, like, she's super sneaky, she's badass, and she's, like, trying to find this map, and, like, basically kicking ass, and just doesn't care. I really liked her as a character. My, like, only issue with this was, like, we had lady pirates, and there was only one, and I wanted, like, 40, so... yeah, 4 stars. This was super fun. I enjoyed the hell out of this, and I recommend, if you want to read about lady pirates, you should read this. The next thing that I read was actually my favorite thing that I read all month, and that was Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I read this with my friend Chloe. I will link her channel down below. This is pretty popular on BookTube, so I don't want to get into too much of a synopsis, but it is about a girl, and she's always dreamed of going to this game called Caraval, and her living situation is, like, pretty terrible. She has a sister who's, like, wild and doesn't follow rules, and one day, like, the opportunity comes where her and her sister can go play this game Caraval, and Scarlett, our main character, is like, no, actually I don't really feel like going because, like, this, and this, but her sister Tella, like, basically kidnaps her a little bit and, like, thrusts her into this game of Caraval. And so the book, like, follows Scarlett, like, trying to get to the end of Caraval, the game, and, like, win, because, like, it's super imperative that she does. I loved this so much because the game of Caraval was insane. Like, everything in it, the fantasy aspects, the magic, it was just, like, so much fun. And also, in the game, like, the whole purpose of the game is that, like, you don't know who to trust. Like, that's the point. Like, you're not supposed to trust anybody. Don't trust yourself. Don't trust what you're seeing. Don't trust other people. What's real, what's not real. And so, like, the entire time I was reading this, I was like, who are these people? And, like, do I trust them? I don't know. It was super good. I finished it and immediately ordered the next one, which I am currently reading and loving. And I'm super just grateful that I got to buddy read this with Chloe. I had a blast and I loved it. And the last thing that I read this month was The House of the Scorpion by Nancy Farmer. I gave this 4 stars. I read this when I was really, really young, and it was like the first book that I fell in love with, and then I completely forgot everything about it. So this is a middle grade. It is about a boy named Matt, and he lives, like, in this house with his mom, even though she, like, it's basically like a mother figure, but she always tells him, like, I'm not your real mother. But, like, anyways, he grows up in this house. He's never allowed to leave. Like, she does not let him leave. And one day, like, a bunch of kids, like, are outside his window, and they're like, hey, like, what are you doing in there? And he leaves the house and basically goes to this farm, and there's this, like, mansion where the kids live, and he finds out that he is a clone. So he is the clone of a man who is an opium drug lord, and, like, they don't treat clones as people in this book, and so it's, like, him getting bullied and, like, not treated like he's a human being, and it's just, like, a pretty good sci-fi. I would have given it 5 stars, absolutely. I thought it was really fun. It took place in Mexico, which I loved. The only thing that, like, took back my 5-star rating was and this happens a lot to me in books. There was a certain point in this book, like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through, where there was a flap in the change of setting. Like, something happened and the setting changed and he had to leave. So because he had to leave and the setting changed, it was like the whole story just felt like different and not that good and not that intriguing. And so yeah, that like deducted a star. But I feel like if you are interested in a middle grade sci-fi, this would be a super good place to start. So yeah, that was my February wrap up, and I'm actually super happy that I read 8 books. That's kind of standard for me. I read 8 books nearly every month, but I had a good time with most of the things that I read, and I am really looking forward to next month when I'm reading Legendary, because I feel like it's going to just like blow me away. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this wrap up, and if you've read anything that I just read, feel free to get a hold of me in any of my social media. It will be linked down there, or comment or whatever. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.